Good morning. Welcome to another mini lesson in the Harp live lesson series. My name is Zuzanna, for those of you who are here first time today. I'm a harpist and harp teacher based in Edinburgh, where I am today. And today I was actually getting here very late or early, depending how you look at it. I was on the night train from London, arriving at 8 a.m. today. So not that much sleep. I hope you will forgive me if some things that I say may not make complete sense, but then please point that out to me, send me a comment and let me know if I'm talking some rubbish, but hopefully it won't be that bad. In today's lesson, you can download a practice PDF. It's a bit different PDF again, a different idea. So today's PDF is something which you can fill in while you're watching that video, just to remind yourself and reinforce a bit better what I will be talking about today. Today's topic is a request from one of the viewers, and that request was pedal etiquette on the pedal harp, of course, which is one here on this harp, but I hope that liver harp players will be able to also add some interesting points to that, because after all, we both had to set up those things and change these things. With the pedal harp, of course, we use our legs to do that, our feet. With liver harp, we use our left hand, but I think some of the etiquette issues might be quite similar. Before we start, one important thing. Please watch out and see the communication from me, because I'm not quite sure yet whether we will be able to have the live next week. We might need to have it on another day of the week, or we might need to cancel it altogether. But I will keep you informed, hopefully at the beginning of next week. I will be able to tell, because that will be another early morning train journey, but not coming to Edinburgh, but somewhere else. And I will need to see if I will be able to find reliable Wi-Fi and harps. So keep your eyes on the Facebook fan page and Instagram. I will be in touch. Good to see all of you. I can see quite a few people joining. If you can hear and see me all right, let me know. If you can't hear me, if you can't see me, let me know as well, and we will try to sort it out. So, moving on to today's topic, I'll open the PDF that is available to you as well. You don't have to download it now. I know it will take some time, so you can just rewatch it live later and fill in the PDF after you watch that. There is nothing in there which is absolutely essential for today, but I will just try to follow point by point as I'm talking about this. So the question from the listener was about one particular issue to do with pedals. When should we set them up before the performance? When should we change them? So I'm thinking that the best thing to do, if you are the only performer in the performance, or if you're the only person using the harp, you should set it up before the audience comes in, because then you're saving yourself the trouble of remembering about bowing, setting the pedals, smiling, and all these kind of things. And I have seen quite a few performances and have done quite a few performances myself where pedals were set in the wrong way or were not set up at all. And that's something you can avoid by, after tuning the harp, setting it up in the key that you will need to play and that you will need to start the first piece. Because then also you arrive on the stage, you bow, you sit at the harp, and you just play. It also saves the audience that moment of wondering what are you actually doing, and you can just go straight into the music. I know some harpists say, I mean, I actually say as well that when you leave the harp, when you finish playing, when you finish practicing, you should raise all the pedals and release all the levers, so the strings are not necessarily under any tension. But when you finish tuning half an hour, maybe an hour before a concert, then it's fine for the harp to stay like that. And I think it's much better than having some kind of awkward key pedal disaster when you perform. If you're performing after someone, then second best thing, for example, if you're second performer in the concert and you're both using the same harp, the harp is there, then I think the next best thing is to come on stage, bow, and then set your pedals just before you start playing. And try to really have a mental note to do this. Then next thing, which is actually the very first thing I'm thinking when I'm hearing the word harp etiquette, that was something that I learned from my professor Helga at the, I think at the very first lesson, actually, when I came to see her. When setting up pedals, for example, at the beginning of the piece, when you're sitting down or tuning, or whenever actually changing the key, that was the point she tried to make, is putting your hands on the bass strings and right hand as far as you can go, and then moving the pedals. I will move the pedals like that one, so you can hear the difference. So I set up random key, and now I try to move back to flats without having my hands on the harp. And that carries on, that reverb. So just to show you the difference. And this is something you can not only do in solo playing, you're on stage and the audience stops clapping and it's quiet and you don't want to create an impression that the piece has started and maybe it's a weird sort of contemporary piece. That's also something you can do in the orchestra when you need to change pedals and you've got a few bars of rest. Instead of that needs a bit of thinking and preparation, because some people put the harp down automatically when they see lots of bars of rest. But I recommend, before putting the harp down, putting your hands on the strings, then setting the pedals for the next beat, just so you don't forget that, and then putting the harp down. That's also a nice thing to do. I think it's nice for the other performance when you're, for example, playing in a chamber music ensemble, to do that as well, to avoid creating unnecessary, how to say, this kind of low noise, which creates an impression that there is more bass going on and there is not enough focus. So changing the pedals quietly is something which will be really nice for the other performance as well, not create unnecessary noise. Okay, and then I think I just mentioned the other issue, how to change pieces between the pedals. It's very similar to what you would do if you had if you were to perform after another person using the same harp. So that would be just before you start playing the piece. So I think you should come on stage, bow, then change the pedals. And when you're playing a few pieces, you need to change pedals between them. I think the best thing to do is also take the applause, appreciate the applause first. So finish playing the piece, you dump, of course, then you get up, you bow, then you sit down again, bring the instrument to you, put the hands on the strings, and then change the pedal, prepare for the next piece. So there is a bit of quiet time before you start playing the other work, the other song, whatever it is. And one thing which may not be that bad, but it does create a bit of a funny impression for the audience when you're playing a concert and changing the pedals and looking at them. That's why I think you should practice with hands on the strings, because then you cannot really look at what your right foot is doing. Try to just really get a feeling of what your pedals are like. Holding your feet on the pedals while you're playing the piece will also help. And then just trying to keep them in the same place as keep them on the same pedals when you're not using them too much, and then that will be your reference point. For example, I most of the time keep my feet on C and F when, for example, I'm waiting in the orchestra for the cue, not for the cue really, I'm waiting to be told where are we going from so I can set up my pedals. And that's how I always know where the pedals are and what position they are in. By the way, if you're really new to pedals and you would like some explanation on how they work, why was I talking about 3 positions and why do we have pedal for right and left foot, let me know, because I assumed that the question came from someone who already plays the pedal harp. That's why I dived right into all these funny bits. But if there's anyone who would like to hear more about moving from river harp to pedal harp, or how does that actually work, I'm happy to explain that as well. Yeah, so I just said, don't look at your feet when playing the harp. Unless something goes terribly wrong, then you might need to, but try to get that feeling in your feet of knowing without looking what's happening. That looks much more professional. You will look much more confident and in control of what's happening. I'll just stop for a second and see if there are any questions. Hello, Kezaya, and hello, Ella. I see some new people joining in, and hello, Eleanor. I just need to tell you that for some reason I don't see comments on Facebook while they appear. I sometimes see them later. There's no such problem with Instagram, but if I've ignored any of your comments and they are super enjoyed, you can try typing in on Instagram, or you can try, yeah, I think there's not much you can do. I will try to answer all questions after the live. So if there's anything that I've missed now, I will try to reply to your question later, or put it in the next live. Okay, on we go. So what should we do with our feet when playing? That's one thing that I see quite a lot with my students, which really prevents them from performing their best and is a source of many pedal mistakes. So sometimes people who change, making a pedal change, put their feet back flat on the floor. And although that's probably the best position to sit in when you start playing the lever harp or the pedal harp without moving too much pedals, it's really good to be grounded on the floor with both feet resting flat, legs uncrossed. When you're playing the pedal harp and you've got any pedal changes, I would say put them on the pedals that you need to change first. So for example, if the first pedal change for the right foot in the piece is G, have your foot ready on G, try to see what the left hand is doing and put it there. So, and don't take them off. Keep your heel on the floor. That's something which will allow your legs to rest and for your body to have the that stability and that foundation, but don't put them away if there are more pedal changes coming up. In general, I would only keep my feet on the floor with the pedal harp if there are no pedal changes whatsoever. If there are any changes at all, I usually put my feet on the pedals and leave them there, just moving straight after one change, moving right away to another. If you want to read more about this and see what tricks I got to make it all work, to remember how I'm supposed to move the feet from one pedal to another as soon as I need it, you can check the article on my blog. It's quite an old article, but I will post a link in the description of that live as soon as the live is finished. Yeah, so let me just quickly see what are the questions or comments. So Kezaya, do you teach students to change pedals as the harmonic change happens, or to change in advance? I teach them to change in advance. I teach to move the foot as soon as you're done with the previous change. So for example, if you've got F sharp change and then 3 bars later you would have G sharp change, maybe that's realistic, then I would teach them to move it to G as soon as they've changed the F, because sometimes the harmonic changes are a bit difficult to navigate. Sometimes they are quite clear and obvious, and sometimes there might be other reason to avoid changing right away, for example, the vibration from the string. But in general, I try to move them as soon as I can to the next beat, and if it's quite tricky to remember, for example, if there is a long gap, then I'm putting a discrete marking in the music to tell me where do the feet need to go later. And I think I can see some more comments. I was teaching a grade 7 piece, which was new to me, but the harpist who had edited it had got the pedals ready for harmonic changes way in advance. I think this is pretty unhelpful with learning. Do you think it's unhelpful with learning because it separates the harmonic thinking from the feet? I'm trying to understand. I think this might be it, but I'm not quite sure. With some pieces, I think it is quite clear where the harmony changes. For example, I think in the piece that I'm playing, there's quite an obvious change where we're going from D major to D major, and it's possible to put that pedal down at the downbeat of the bar, which is also quite a helpful thing to coordinate your pedals with the rhythm, with the strong parts of the bar. And at the time, because I think the bottom line goes, how does it go? D, D and C. Oh, sorry, that's actually changing from D major to dominant 7 to G major. Sorry for some jargon here, but there is time change that because the C is the last beat, so you definitely would be able to make that change in the way the harmony is changing. But sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the note that you need with a different pitch is right the first one in the bar, and if you play on an unfamiliar harp, or sometimes even on your own harp, it's a bit risky to change the pedal at the same time as you're playing the string. So I think to students which are new to pedal changes, I would recommend doing that in advance. And there is one more thing. Yes, so that was that, separating the harmonic thinking from feet. Yeah, I agree with, because I agree with you that it's a bit of a, I don't know how to call it, a occupational hazard with us harpists, this kind of schizophrenia of separating what happens down here with the feet and what happens up there with the harp and with the harmony and changes. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think I became quite convinced to move my feet as soon as I can to the next beat in preparation for the harmony changes. I might, okay, maybe that's the solution for the problem. I might actually change the pedal later when the harmonic change happens, depending how everything else pans out in the piece. But I would have my feet ready for that change. So, for example, bar 1, I have changed F sharp, and in bar 6, for example, I need G sharp. So I would change that F sharp in the first bar, then move my feet straight away. So for those bars, for those few bars, my feet is already resting and prepared to change the G, and then change the G in the bar that I need to change. And then, depending if that's possible, I would try or not to coordinate it with harmonic thinking. I think this is my current teaching philosophy, something which I think it's quite recent. I think I started paying definitely more attention to pedals about 2 years ago, after I had quite a meaningful lesson with Seale, professor at the Guildhall, who told me that you always have to change pedals and move your feet in advance. And it actually helped me a lot. I have to say that it's really helpful, because I see what difference it makes. Now I'm teaching my students to move their feet in advance, even if the pedal change is a long, long way away. Yeah, I hope that that's clear. Another question, because I think often when, oops, sorry for shaking the phone. When we start with pedal harp, we get them really ready early, but later on, when advance, we perhaps learn to change with harmonic changes that slow down our harmonic learning. I'm just trying to understand. Sorry, we get them. Yeah, it is very interesting discussion. So do you think, Kazaya, that when we learn to change pedals way in advance, that's the cause of separating that harmonic thinking when you're a beginner on the pedal harp, for example, when you just moved from the pedal harp to the pedal harp, that it might create the problem? Okay, I'm just agreeing with you. Okay. I was just trying to understand. Sorry, after just a few hours of sleep and English not being my first language, and also on Instagram, I'm kind of seeing those white letters rolling over my face, so it's kind of hard to read them. Okay, I'm glad we're agreeing, and it might be that as I'm becoming more experienced, learn every day, I might change my mind and think about some different tips for learning to deal with the pedals. But today is the best I came up with so far, and it works. And yeah, you need to just be flexible, and as you become experienced, and definitely as you're making some mistakes, you learn more and more about playing, and hopefully you can also teach that to your students. Now back to the notes, and just trying to see, that was that point. And now the last point about marking right foot over left or left foot over right. Which one is better? Which one is more natural? Very often we see different music marked by different people, that the pedals which belong to the right foot might be either below or higher. And my opinion is that it doesn't really matter. Neither one is better than the other. As long as you stay consistent and you keep putting your right foot either up or down, and then left foot, sorry, just following on that, then you will be fine, because your brain needs to get used to what kind of system you're using. And I would say if you inherit the music, or if you're getting the orchestral part where it's just the opposite way, I would tip it and change it to your way. So so you're getting the most comfort, the most straightforward thinking. There is so much going on in orchestra, or in general in harp playing, even in solo playing, that you have to save yourself the trouble for your brain to be as fast as possible when doing that. And in the PDF, I prepared a list of pieces which I think are good practice material for someone who just started playing the pedal harp. Some of them are quite easy, and they are possible to play by a beginner who just started playing the pedal harp in general, someone who starts playing the pedal harp. I think I put them in order from the easiest to the most difficult, but the piece I will be playing today is one that you can definitely play within the first 2 years of playing the harp. It's Minuet in G by Johann Sebastian Bach, and I'm sure you will recognize the melody when you hear it. It's again from the same book we had in the live number 5, 30 Little Classes for the Harp by Seale. And when you look at that list, you will see that there are quite a few pieces from that book on that list. I think there are, about almost 10 pieces from that book on the list, which are quite good, having no more than 3 pedal changes. This one will only have 1 pedal change. Quite a few of them have just 1 pedal change, but maybe complex for other reasons. So if you're someone who's starting to think about moving to pedal harp from pedal harp, or wanting to start play on the pedal harp, that book is really, really good. When you had your first year of playing, I think in the first year of playing, we normally don't really play with pedals too much, but in your second, third year of learning, I think lots of pieces in that book are really good for practicing that. Okay, let me move the music stand so I can play that piece for you. Oops, I just didn't want the view to be obscured, the view from the phone. Okay, I hope I can make it work. Maybe I will just turn the Instagram a tiny bit. Will that work? So you can see what's happening here. So you can see a bit of what I'm playing. So, Minuet in G by Johann Sebastian Bach, and I'm curious if those who don't know the piece will pick up where the pedal change happens. Here it goes. Forgive me some mistakes in the second part. As I was changing pedals, I was actually thinking of what we were discussing just now, and thinking, where am I actually changing the pedals? Is it in line with harmony, or is it in line with something else? And actually, I am changing them quite late and trying to follow the harmony of the piece. But I think if I was teaching that piece to a student, I would advise them to change that pedal, that first pedal, at least a bar earlier. At the moment, I'm changing it exactly as the C sharp note is supposed to be played. I'm putting the pedal down into C sharp position. But I think for a student, you definitely do that at least one bar earlier if you're learning to play that piece. That's if you've got the book, that's fourth line, and I think that pedal change for the C sharp could be done one bar earlier at the end of the third line. And then change back to C natural can happen in the fourth line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just at the beginning of bar 5. And here you don't have much choice to choose where to change that pedal, because on the last beat of the bar before you've got C sharp, so we can't change it there. And then on the third beat of the next part, you already have C natural. So I would say change it on the first beat of that bar where C natural appears. What else can I say about that piece? As I said before, I had a student who was between grade 1 and 2 levels, an adult beginner who played that piece. It's possible to play on a lever harp as well. If you make a modification in that line and take some of the notes into your right hand, the D from the left hand and the C natural from the left hand are to be played with the right hand, then it's possible to play on a lever harp. The range of the piece is going quite low at the bottom, so if your harp only goes until that lower C, you might need to try to move the low Gs and bass an octave higher. That should be possible, but ideal range of the harp would be going all the way to that lowest G, and then at the top the highest note we are getting is B. So 3 octaves and a bit. Should be possible to play on most lever harps as well, apart from the very, very smallest ones. And I think I would recommend, if you're starting to play that piece, starting to play from the second part, because it's a bit more complicated and you've got the pedal change. Another thing you can do with pedal change, especially when you've got pieces where there is more pedal changes, is to practice them separately from playing. So practice feet only. Another thing you can do when you're playing with pedals is to say the name of the pedal that you change out loud as you're changing it, just to be really aware what's happening and to actually make that connection possible between what our hands are doing, what happens musically in a harmony, and what our feet are doing in reaction to that. So that's quite a good idea to think about C sharp. For example, if it's C sharp, say it out loud. I think you will find quite a few more tips in that article. I will post it just after we finish the live, and you can see that, and you can also download the PDF when you follow the link. Okay, I hope you have a very nice weekend, and I will let you know as soon as I can whether there will be a live next week or are we going to do something different. I hope it will be possible, but I just need to confirm that. So I will be in touch with you. And wishing you a very nice weekend. Hope that was useful. It was definitely an interesting discussion. Thank you, Keziah, and thank you everyone who watched that. See you next week. Take care. Bye.